जो हैं आम रास्ता चल नहीं सकती। किसान के खेत में मेड़ से भी निकले, जिन किसानों की रहम में मैं मरी जाती हूँ, वही किसान अगर कबूतरी निकल रही है, कबूतरा की पत्नी, बेटी, बहन जो भी निकल रही है उससे, तो भी उससे सेक्स की डिमांड की जाएगी।
When I was in college, we read Dopti by Mahashweta Devi. It was also when I read Sultana's Dream. You know, I found Sultana's Dream charming. It was charming because I think wit and humor have mattered to women so much, and the ability to turn the table, to be able to look at it the other way. Why not tame men, you know? The lion is tamed by the lion tamer. I mean, there's no question of strength being a rationale for why women should stay home, and nor is it a rationale for why men should not stay home. So, you know, I was charmed by it, but what really affected me in the sense of like sea change or radical uprooting kind of change, rethinking, putting down new roots and forming new ideas, was when I read Mahashweta Devi's work. This particular work, because I think Devi's identification of the character Draupadi, both historically in the Draupadi story and in the contemporary story of tribal women and their plight, and the way in which all women have to live with the fear of assault, of having their autonomy taken from them.
She is writing from the dailiness of whatever she stands for, and yet it's not a kind of didactic, message-bearing, position-taking in the sense that yes, her writing does posit itself as a kind of resistance. It is, I mean, a literature of resistance, if you want to label it. She uses the phrase "body phele debo," you know, like I shall throw my body into the fray. And she says it casually, but she means it, and she has done this. I think there was both a story and a real life situation where in the real life the protagonist actually was beaten to death, but no marks on his body because the police had supposedly wrapped him in a blanket. And the family managed to, especially the wife, managed to actually quote unquote steal the body. And the police had no clue. They were desperately trying to find the body, while this woman protected the body for some 3-4 weeks till she was ready to file the case. She actually made a bed, and the body was beneath the bed, you know, on a sort of wooden platform. And so symbolically, it's very dramatic, theatrical, all kinds of imagery comes into mind visually and otherwise. The idea of her sleeping on her husband's corpse, in a sense, concealing it, saving it as the only proof to produce before a court to say this is what actually happened. So in that sense, and this is, you know, and again, I don't remember the story, but it appears exactly like that in a story that she wrote.
So this is, as you know, the book about the life of a domestic worker. Poor baby. What else could one say of her? Imagine a childhood so brief, so ephemeral that you could sit down and the whole thing could unravel in front of you in barely half an hour. And yet, her childhood fascinates baby. Perhaps everyone is fascinated by the things they've been deprived of, the things they long for. Baby remembers her childhood. She savors every moment of it. She licks it just as a cow would her newborn calf, tasting every part. To me, this is the most beautiful passage in this book. It's a passage where this young woman who does not know how to write turns into a writer. If you look at women's writing, let's say over the last 40 years, perhaps longer, the sorts of things they're writing about and the sorts of women who are writing. Dalit women are writing now. You see women like women who are not writers, but who feel they have something to say, like Baby Haldar, the domestic worker, like Salma, the panchayat leader, like Shanti, the driver who's learning how to drive a taxi, you know, or like Revati, the hijra, the transgender person who's writing about her life. Now, all of these kinds of writings would not have entered the canon of literature earlier. Dalit woman from Kutch, and she has for years been drawing the women's movement. This is her self-portrait. She's called Radhaben Garve. Here they are going off to the collector complaining and asking him, protesting. Protesting patriarchy. So here she goes to her first international conference. She has to go out of the village. She gets an auto and the driver is driving like a maniac. So she's clutching on to the top thing, you know. And then she reaches there and she's in a plane. And that's a plane. So she gets to the place and then she goes up in a lift. Because
I see a lot of stories here, and many of my stories from the first collection that I put out are in this park, and the park is referenced, and that there's a story with the Pujari and his daughter, and that's from this park. People in the colony are aware, so periodically I'm taken aside and I'm told, "Nahi, mat karo, ye nahi karna chahiye, this will happen to you, that will happen to you." And no one will say what will happen to me. It would be impolite for me to say to the man who's saying don't walk in the park, it would be impolite for me to say, why not? What will happen to me? I think the extension of the answer that he would have to give is that he or his ilk would be willing to stop me. I mean, this nice, polite invitation to not walk in the park can be extended all the way out to its inevitable conclusion that I will be prevented from walking and that there will be violence involved in the prevention.
सम्मान, हम स्त्री को सम्मान देते हैं, अब ये भी नारा देखती होगी, ये भी गलत है। सम्मान नहीं, हमें समानता चाहिए। सम्मान तो तुम एक दिन दे दोगे, सम्मान क्या रोज रोज दिया जाता है? किसी को सम्मानित करते हैं तो एक ही दिन, भैया लो शाल ले जाओ, फूल ले जाओ, पैसे ले जाओ, हैं, रोज रोज तो देते हैं, लेकिन समानता आपको रोज देनी पड़ेगी, बहुत महंगी है, जिसकी आदत नहीं है आपको।
The city and I. This time, we didn't circle each other, the city and I. Hackles raised, fur bristling. This time, there was space between us, and we weren't competing. Space enough and more for the nose-digging librarian and her stainless steel tiffin box, for the little theatre peon to read me endless Marathi poems on rainy afternoons.
My relationship with the city has been a very good one, I think. I mean, the flip side of that is that I absolutely despair of it. And that despair comes from the class hierarchies. When I started cycling, I used to do this thing of counting the number of cycles that I saw on the road on my very small commute to my office and back and to my other office and back. Now, on any one of those legs of cycling, it was maximum 20-25 minutes of actually cycling down the roads. And I saw an average, because I used to count them every day, of between 60 and 70 cyclists. Over the course of a year, I counted 2 other women, apart from me.
For the woman on the 710 Bhayandar slow, with green combs in her hair, to say and say again, he's coming to get me, he's coming. This time, the city surged towards me mangy, bruised-eyed, non-vaccinated, suddenly mine.
Now, 9, 10 years later, I do a similar kind of cycle, and I see women or girls on cycles once a day, possibly even twice a day. So I think, I have no sociological data to back this up, but I think there may be a little mini revolution of women getting onto bikes.
ये मोबाइल फ़ोन पे घूंघट तो इतना, और मोबाइल फ़ोन कान पे लग रहा और बातें कर रही। तो मैंने कहा ये फ़ोन कहाँ से आया तुम्हारे पास? जो उनके पति का नाम दिया उसने दिलाया? नहीं, अरे वो दिलाएंगे, वो कभी नहीं दिलाएंगे, उनने थोड़ी दिया। तो कहाँ से लाएं? कि ये हम अपने मायके से लाए हैं। हमने कहा कि दद्दा तुम हमें साड़ी धोती ना दिवाओ, तुम हमें मोबाइल दिवा दो, है ना। तो ये जो एक चेतना उसके अंदर है, उसने उसकी बेबाकी को और धार दे दी। अब वो नहीं रुकती है ना।
So when I think of what literature does for women, I think what it does, it's not that it has sort of a policy or a position which tells women to go out and loiter. It actually is an act of loitering.
Women across the board are wanting to give expression to what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and that is a change that as a publisher, a feminist, an activist, I see and am very, very heartened by.
Reading and writing are about questioning the status quo.
जब हम कोई लीक तोड़ते हैं तब लोगों को दिक्कत आती है ना, और हमें लौटाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन हम ना लौटें, यही हमारी ताकत है।